You have a pair of shoes. Beautiful ones. You spent 3 days making them, and you are starving. 2 words, trade fails. Somewhere in your village, there's a baker with more bread than his family can eat this week. You walk over, holding out your shoes. He looks down at them and says, I don't need shoes. I need a knife. Fine. You find the man with the knife. He doesn't want shoes either. He wants a goat. You don't have a goat. Nobody nearby has one they'll give up today. So you're standing there, holding something valuable that is, in this exact moment, worth nothing at all. 3 days of work. Useless. Not because it lost its value. Because value, it turns out, was never really the point. Here's the question that should bother you. How did that problem ever get solved? Every animal that trades, and a few do, trades in that exact instant. Or not at all. A vampire bat shares blood with a starving neighbor and expects blood back eventually from that same bat, tracked through nothing more than smell and memory. Direct, immediate. It never crosses hands with a stranger 3 villages over. You did something stranger. You stopped needing the trade to happen all at once between 2 people who each happened to want exactly what the other had. You started keeping score, not in your head but outside it, written down, owed. And it might be the single strangest tool your species ever built. So here's what you probably have backwards about money. 1. It almost certainly did not start with barter. 2. The first money wasn't a coin. It wasn't even metal. And 3. The part that should unsettle you a little. Money might not be the opposite of trust. It might be trust between strangers turned into an object. Let's go find out what it actually was. 5,000 years ago. River valleys between the Tigris and the Euphrates. Cities called Uruk and Ur. The first cities on Earth too big for anyone to know everyone in them. In a small village, nobody writes debts down. You remember who helped with your harvest? Shame does the accounting. But in a city of 10,000 strangers, memory breaks. So who kept score? The temples did. A farmer deposits his barley. A scribe seals a handful of clay tokens inside a hollow clay ball. 1 token for every measure owed. Then presses a mark into the outside so nobody can tamper with what's sealed inside. Break it open later, and the tokens tell you exactly what's owed and to whom. That record could settle a completely different debt with a completely different person. Nobody moved the grain. They moved the promise. But think about what that actually means. Whoever controls those records controls the entire city's memory of who owes what. The temples weren't just religious buildings anymore. They were becoming something closer to banks. Whoever held the seal held the power to say who was trusted and who wasn't. Then something changes. Silver replaces barley. It doesn't rot. It's easier to divide. A shekel is born. Not a coin yet, just a weight of silver. And when even carrying silver got tiresome, scribes started writing that weight onto small, flat tablets of wet clay instead. And those tablets started moving on their own. A farmer pays a craftsman with a tablet. The craftsman pays his landlord with the same tablet. Nobody in that whole chain ever touches the actual grain sitting in the temple. The debt itself has become the money. Now here's the number that should make you uncomfortable. 20%. That's roughly the interest charged on a silver loan in ancient Mesopotamia. On barley, closer to 1/3. And if the harvest failed and you couldn't pay, you didn't just lose the silver. You could lose your children. Debt slavery was common enough that one king, Hammurabi, eventually had to write it into law. Nobody could be held in debt slavery for more than 3 years. Other kings went further, wiping every debt in the kingdom clean in a single decree, just to stop the whole system from swallowing itself alive. Money was never just a convenience. From day one, it was also a leash. So if debt and clay came first, where do coins fit in? You'd assume they came early. They didn't. Actual coins, stamped, standardized, guaranteed by a king, don't show up until around 600 years before Christ. A kingdom called Lydia, in what's now Turkey. That's over 2,000 years after Mesopotamian temples were already running full credit economies on clay. Coins weren't the beginning. They were late. And one theory for why they showed up when they did has almost nothing to do with markets. Soldiers. An army marching hundreds of miles from home can't be paid with a clay tablet promising grain in a temple they'll never see again. A soldier needs something any stranger in any town will accept on sight. No memory required, no relationship required. Coins may have been invented less to help you trade shoes for bread, and more to let kings pay armies of total strangers. Those strangers then spent their coins in market towns, among more strangers, and within a few centuries the whole idea had quietly taken over the ancient world. And that's the reversal hiding under all of it. We treat money as the cold opposite of trust, the thing you use precisely because you don't know someone. But look at what it replaced. In a small village, trust was personal. I remember you. I'll help you because you helped me. Money let that exact trust travel to someone you'll never meet. A coin in a stranger's palm carries the same promise a village once carried in shared memory. The only difference is scale. A promise that once reached as far as your neighbor's house now reaches halfway around the world. Now, the honest complication, because I've made this sound too clean. The claim that barter never really existed, that debt came first. It's a real, well-supported argument. But it's not settled. Some economists push back hard. No evidence of widespread barter isn't proof it never happened, and small, informal trades almost certainly went on alongside all of this, especially between strangers who shared no temple and no king. Other cultures took entirely different paths, too. Cowrie shells strung together as currency in parts of Africa and Asia. Cattle counted as wealth for herders who never touched a coin at all. The true first draft of money was probably messier than either story. Part memory, part metal, part clay, part deals nobody ever wrote down. But strip the argument away, and one thing survives either version. At some point, your species decided a promise could be as real as the thing it stood for, that a mark on clay, or a stamped disc of metal, could carry the same weight as a favor between old friends, and carry it all the way to a stranger who never did you a single favor in their life. So look at whatever's in your pocket right now. A card, a coin, a number on a screen. It isn't paper. It isn't metal. It's a 5,000-year-old habit of pretending a stranger's promise is as solid as a harvest sitting in a storehouse. And somehow, the whole world keeps agreeing to believe it every single day without ever really thinking about why. So tell me, if money vanished tomorrow completely, and all that was left was memory and trust between people who actually know each other, how far would your circle really reach? Further than you think, or a lot smaller than you'd like to admit? Be honest, I read every single one. And if the invisible agreements holding ordinary life together, a coin, a price tag, a debt nobody talks about, are the kind of thing that keeps you turning ideas over at night, then subscribe and stick around. Because somewhere between a clay tablet and the card in your wallet, we built a machine for trusting strangers, and most of us have never once stopped to ask how strange that really is.